Greetings. This is actually part 2 of a video series that I'm doing talking about what it's like to be a black consultant in a mainly white field. It's a tough video for some people to watch. As a matter of fact, I don't expect a lot of people to watch much of this because I'm calling them out in my own way. This is part of my authenticity for the year. And, there are some truths that sometimes have to be told. And I'm telling a couple of my truths. And I'm naming I'm naming names, but not necessarily. In other words, I'm not naming any people, but I am naming organizations because you got to call it like it is. And this is just how life works. So yesterday, or in my other video on the other channel, I talked about occurrence that happened with a group that was called HFMA locally and a hospital, St. Joseph Hospital locally. Today, I'm going to talk about an organization called SHRM, which is Society for Human Resource Management, because this is truth. So anyway, as you saw in my thumbnail, I'm an independent consultant. I'm also incorporated, T.T. Mitchell Consulting Incorporated. I do work on healthcare, but I also do leadership, diversity, customer service training. In other words, all these things. I've written 2 books on leadership. I've done speaking engagements on these topics as well. So this is something I know. Looking to publicize myself, and I send stuff out. And I joined this organization, SHRM. And I was a member for about 3 years. So these are people who at least knew my face. Maybe they didn't always remember the name, even though I was the only black person in the room for every meeting I ever went to. And I'm 6 foot tall, and I'm a big guy. I'm a smaller guy now than I was. As a matter of fact, I'm 40 pounds less than I used to be. So I should have been hard to miss. So anyway, they held this really big seminar this one time at a place that I think was called Eric Maurer and Associates. And it was going to be a big shindig. And so it was. There was like 150 people who showed up. And I'm thinking, okay, this is kind of cool. Once again, the only black person in the room. Thought I'd get that out there. So, of course, I had very few people who were going to talk to me. Even people who I knew. One guy I went to high school with. He barely talked to me. Happens. So, the first seminar they have that I decided to go into, they're going to talk about healthcare. Hey, wait, this is my field. At that point, I'd been in healthcare over 20 years. Let's see, over 20 years. So I know something about this. I know the topic really well. So the moderator, someone else I knew, is basically throwing out these questions, and no one is really saying anything. So I put my hand up to try to give some help. And she says, like I said, she knew me. No, Mitch, we want some other people to participate in this first. Okay. Most of them didn't participate. They couldn't answer any of the questions. They didn't know. I knew. This was my background. But no one wanted to hear from me. So I stayed quiet through the rest of the thing. The only black person in the room stayed quiet. Then there were a couple of other events, very nondescript. I stayed quiet. Now it's time for lunch. So I get something to eat, and I go to sit down at this table, and there's only one guy sitting there. So I figure I'll just sit there with him. So he asked me a question because, people do that. Sometimes, at least some people are civil every once in a while. And I told him what I did. And he says to me, the problem I have with groups like this is because they let people like you come. And I think he figured out almost immediately that he said the wrong thing, because then he said, oh, and let me tell you what I mean by that. What I mean by that is that it's an organization that needs people who do what I do, which is I'm an HR director at this company, and it needs to be just us. However, I recognize that we're busy working, and so it needs people like you to come in and handle management stuff because you guys don't have jobs. Well, thank you very much for that, since companies like yours are the ones that hire people like me to come do this thing, and it's nice to appreciate that you don't think any of us work. Now, I'm not feeling any love. Just not feeling any love at this place. And by this time, it's been a couple of hours, and I'm being tired I'm very tired of being dismissed, or this feeling of being dismissed. So then we go to the next thing. And it was a few more people who were talking about some stuff. And this one lady says, you know, the problem I have is that I can't find anyone who does diversity training. She said this. There's 40 people there. I have said that I do diversity training. I've sent stuff out to a lot of these people. I've met a lot of these people in these meetings. Not a single person says anything, and I shut up. Because at that point, I was already irked. This is how it is. I was the only being totally marginalized by everyone else all day long. So I shut up. Came home, canceled my membership. I still get email twice, once every couple of months now to join them again. There is no way it's ever going to happen. No, you can't treat people like that. I'm the only one in the room. I'm hard to miss. You people have seen me. Some of you people I was in another organization with. It's called ATD now. It used to be American Society of Training and Development. And now they just got rid of the society. So now it's just ATD. So, like I said, I was not a total unknown. It's not like I just showed up out of nowhere and people were looking and saying, well, who's that guy? But it might as well have been. This is what it's like being black independent consultant in a majorly white world. And what's funny about it is that most of the diversity stuff I've done is because I'm black. Go figure. So it's just not easy. Doesn't mean you quit. Doesn't mean you give up. It does mean you don't like it. It does mean that you learn to expect that if you get to go in to talk to someone who didn't go through the entire website to notice that my picture is on my bio page on the website, and you walk in there and they do this little quick shutter and then try to hide it, that happens often, by the way. That happens in healthcare. It happens here. This is what it's like. And we just live with it. And I'm not trying to hide it. I'm not being overly sensitive. Some people say that. Some people say that. Had a friend of mine used to say that when we were working together in Westchester County until she saw it for herself. And she said, oh my goodness, I didn't know that kind of thing happened. Debbie, I've been telling you that for years. And now she knows that it happens. This is just what it is. But as LeBron James said, we're not just going to stay quiet. You got to tell it like it is. Got to break through. You know what? I'm going to hit 17 years in business this year. I'm still plugging away at it. And hopefully you mention something like this and other people will understand what it's like. Because you can't solve diversity issues without talking about them. You can try to hide, but then you're not going to solve anything. There you go. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I hope you watch this. I hope you've learned something. If you can identify with this, please leave me a comment. You take care of yourselves.